Hello everyone and welcome to another Daily Illini debate. So we're talking about the NBA and the NHL right now, the playoffs, pretty much two things that's going on right now that is huge. Both of them real competitive and kind of blew everyone off their feet. I'm Torrance Sorrell and I'm here alongside Hunter Warning and Mubarak, last name.
Salami.
Mubarak Salami. So guys, I guess I'm opening statements right now for you debating against the NHL and for the NBA and vice versa for the NHL. And then you're going against the NBA. So I guess opening statements, we'll start you off, Hunter, to my left side. So.
All right, well, I think we can both agree the NHL overall across most years is just generally more exciting. This year's NBA has been great, but I think the NHL has kept pace. Maybe you didn't hear about it as much. ESPN, hates covering hockey. They love covering the Heat, but it's true. But NHL, may not have the same amount of Game 7s. They've had a lot of Game 7s. They've had a lot of overtime, 16. A lot of games have been decided by only one goal, and there's a lot of rivalries thanks to their new playoff format. Hawks, Blues, Kings, Ducks. So there's just a lot of things going on in the NHL that you just may not have picked up on that may have fallen in the shadow, and I just think they need to be appreciated a little bit more,
Bart.
I would say as a fan of any sport, no matter what sport it is, the playoffs, you want star power, you want competitive play, you want to have the idea that any team can win, and you want suspense and drama, things that captivate you. And up to this point, the NBA playoffs has had all of that. You've had 5 out of 8 series have gone in Game 7s. So that's already 5 Game 7s. And before this year, the most Game 7s the playoffs had ever seen in total was 8. So that's already 3 off the mark. You had road teams win 24 out of 50 games. So that's about half. Basically meaning home court advantage meant nothing. That no matter where teams were playing, Eagle side had a chance to win. So that was really cool. You had new stars being born. Damian Lillard hit a game winner, send the Blazers to the next round. You had old stars coming back. Vince Carter hit a game winner against the Spurs to put them up 2-1 in that series. When was the last time he was relevant? Not since the dunk contest and when he was on the Raptors. You had the stars today, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. They're obviously playing at a high level. Basically, in the East, you had the Pacers, who were the best team all year. They were crumbling. No one knows what's going to happen with them. One of their best players, Roy Hibbert, has been non-existent. In the West, you had people coaching for their jobs. You had players calling each other out. And, as a fan, I can't really ask for anything more. It's fun.
Okay, as far as, comebacks, we have, from both sports, you have obviously Durant being called Mr. Unreliable, and you have Memphis really pushing them to the brink. And also with the Blackhawks, you have them being down 2-0. Chicago thought they was going to have another team down the tank, and yet they came back from a 2-0 deficit. So I guess what makes the playoffs so exciting from kind of the underdogs kind of challenging their opponents?
Well, there were a couple teams that came from 2-0 in the NHL. I want to say there were 3 series, but the big one was the Kings over the Sharks. They were in a 3-0 hole to San Jose and came back. That's only the 4th time in history, in the NHL at least, that's ever happened. And I don't think the NBA can say the same for any season. So comeback-wise, they a lot of the teams were staying competitive and digging their way out of holes. And as a fan, that's what I like to see. It's an not necessarily underdog thing, but kind of fighting back.
If we're talking about underdogs, the NBA in the NBA playoffs, the first round, 23 lower seeds won 23 games, and that was the most since 2003 when the NBA switched to a best out of 7 series. So that was really cool to see. And in the Thunder Grizzlies series, not many people gave the Grizzlies a chance. That series went 7 games, had 4 overtime games in a row. That would happen for the first time in NBA history, and they probably would have put up a better fight if they didn't lose Zach Randolph, probably one of their most important players in that last game. And the Pacers, the 1 seed, they went to 8 games against the Hawks, who I'm not sure even finished above 500. So that just shows you, once you get into the NBA playoffs, records get thrown out the window. And outside the Heat, I would say every team got challenged. That's really what I want to see.
How many lower seeds advanced out of the first round of the NBA playoffs?
I'm not sure. I would say out of
There were 3.
3.
And the NHL sent 4. So despite them winning those, they won, what you said, 23 games or whatever, but I don't know, the teams that were supposed to win for the most part still won. You know what I mean? There weren't really underdogs coming forward.
I mean, even if that's the case, that doesn't make the playoffs not exciting. That just means the team that was supposed to win won. I don't think underdog story is a prerequisite to have, exciting, captivating playoffs. As long as there's competitive play and both teams give it their all, go 7 games, then I think that's all that really matters. No one's gonna downgrade the playoffs just because the favorites, who the team's supposed to win, won. They're the best team all year, so it shouldn't. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised if it doesn't change in the playoffs.
I don't want to see. I mean, Indiana is the top seed, and they're crumbling. I don't want to see bad basketball from them. I'd rather see good basketball from the good teams. And what I'm seeing here is just a lot of teams struggling. Toronto, supposed to be good, struggling. I know Brooklyn came on a lot at the end of the year, so that's a little bit skewed there. But Indiana kind of crumbled. San Antonio, I mean, I would like to see. I would be more excited to see the big teams, mop the floor like Miami did with Charlotte. I don't know.
So are you saying that exciting playoffs for you would just be the favorites just demolishing the teams that shouldn't be there? Or so you wouldn't want the series to go 7 games? You want every series to be a sweep, is what you're saying?
No, I want to see Charlotte come up and beat the Heat. I want to see Atlanta come up and beat Indiana. I want to see parity. I want to see that.
Those series with 7 games.
Exciting.
That's
close.
That's as close as you can get, though.
Indiana's crumbling now. I bet they lose to Washington. They could lose to Washington.
I think they probably will. You have guys calling each other out. The NBA's been captivating on and off the court. I mean, you had the whole Clippers playing with a downster, everything hanging over their head. They were tossing out their warm-ups at mid-court. That was a cool story. I mean, you have the Wizards beating the Bulls, who people thought would go far, so now there's rumors Thibodeau might leave to coach the Knicks. I mean, I just think there's been a bunch of stories that have been swirling around, and I think that makes it exciting playoffs.
I mean, the NHL had their fair share of, off the ice issues, with Versteeg getting suspended for his hit in, Game 1 of that series against the Blues. And then, the new playoff system. This is the first year for a new playoff system in the NHL. And no one knew how that was going to turn out. And so far, that's turned out pretty great. So, I mean, there's issues going on off the ice. Those play into it. Those make it interesting. But I don't know. I don't know if it makes it any more interesting than the NHL.
I guess going back to both of you guys' points about having an interesting series. I mean, obviously both sports win Game 7 a lot, and it's pretty amazing for fans. I mean, in hockey, you have the Colorado and the Minnesota Wild series, just pretty much a real good series, and then you kind of have them being a little bit tired out against the Blackhawks. Then on the other hand, you have the Pacers and Hawks having a long series, but then the Pacers are still kind of not picking it up. So I guess besides you guys believe, do you think it's a good thing that lower seeds could probably potentially beat those big teams? And is it good for the league, for viewers to watch these games with the underdogs kind of coming up on top?
I think it's good. I want to see a playoff where every team legitimately has a chance to not only get out of the first round, but really, compete and win, have a chance to win. In the NHL, 15 teams out of the last 30 years, have won. 15 different teams. That, almost everyone, I guess, based off of that, has a shot to win. And everyone in this year's playoff definitely has a shot to win. So, I mean, in the NBA, it's pretty much Miami versus whoever the West spits out. We don't know who that is. That's why they play the games. But I don't know. I feel like did Atlanta really have a shot? If Indiana's crumbling, does Indiana really have a shot? To me, that's not interesting if I already know who's going to win. Or have a good idea.
But you don't. I don't think you do know who's going to win. And that's why the series went 7 games. I mean, yeah, you can assume the Heat are going to make it back because they've been there 2 times in a row. But they have their own issues. D-Wade hasn't been healthy since he won a title. Greg Oden hasn't done anything. Their offseason pickups haven't done anything. So I just think, they're still questionable. And that anyone can win.
All right, that's another edition of The Debate. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Torrance Sorrell. And make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at @DI_sports, as well as our Facebook. And if you want Mubarak to win, #Mubarak. And if you want Hunter to win, #Hunter. Thank you, and Thank you, and that's the conclusion of our debate.